Hey everyone, these are what I would call the trading cards for All Star Wrestling, a Tampa-based wrestling promotion. These were made in 2011, and for all intents and purposes, the organization is now defunct. They pretty much stopped running shows when Strokers, Bar and Grill, Billiards Hall essentially went out of business. I used to run the website, and this particular size image was used for a thumbnail anytime I had an article about a wrestler or worker or about an upcoming show. Several people will have more than one image or roster card, if you will. That's oftentimes because they either A, didn't like their original card, or maybe I found a better image of them to use. I personally took 99% of the photos for this, and I tried to include some of the staff members like Walt here, who was a ring security guy, who I wanted to make sure that he was just as important as the wrestlers like Wayne Van Dyke here. It's kind of funny, I probably put 2 to 3 hours a day into that website. It was getting 500 to 1,000 visitors a day, which is a lot for a very small wrestling company. I had a lot of fun with it. I tried to make humorous articles. I know at one point somebody said that I went into business for myself with the website, but really I was just trying to get fans excited about All-Star Wrestling. And that it did, as we were getting tons of views from all around the world. People always wanted to know what happened last Friday night at Strokers Billiards. So it had a bit of a cult following. That's Angela Fong, who you may recognize from WWE's developmental school. That's Simon Says, one of their prime wrestlers, if you will. The website domain that I owned was aswflorida.com. We've since let it expire because I guess people aren't as interested in the organization now that they're out of business. There were a lot of noteworthy events that occurred at ASW, which was originally owned by James Legend and eventually owned by a few different people, including Nick Major and the Don Vinnie D, who you'll probably see in roster cards as well. One of those noteworthy events was that Sinn Bodhi, when he married Stacy Carter, they had their honeymoon event at ASW on Friday night. New Jack performed there. WWE diva Sunny performed there. There's Cammie Kendrick, who's now known as Cammie Dash, who has a feature on the page. I believe Chain Reaction was the name of the YouTube show that Jason Davis managed. Here's Francisco Chiazzo. He was one of my dad's favorite wrestlers, and I think the reason he liked Francisco so much is that he was kind of an old school Italian wrestler. Again, Colleen there and Cookie, both part of the ring crew, and I wanted to make sure that everyone got kind of equal billing. In my mind, it wasn't about making one or two people big stars, it was about kind of sharing the wealth and making everyone feel like they were an important part of the show. I got a little slack for that because I wasn't always focusing on the two same guys in the main event. I was trying to make sure that Dan the referee got just as much coverage as maybe one of the bigger stars. At the time, a lot of these wrestlers were checking out Wrestling911.com, which at the time was a message board, and I was posting pictures after each show, so I was getting a lot of views for that. Now, message boards aren't so popular anymore, so I've converted the site to more of a video page, and that's why you'll see these images on our Wrestling911.com video page. Take note of Don Cornelius. That's the name I used as the webmaster, which was an homage to the Soul Train, as he was the Soul Train announcer. Little known fact. In fact, there's a couple fictitious characters associated with the website, and I'll try to point them out as we go through. You know, I didn't take this picture of Eddie Taurus, one of the few pictures I didn't take, but I think that was at ASW's final show, which was held outdoors. Eddie Brock, this picture was taken after his match with New Jack. And next up is Aaron Epic, who's had a lot of success on the indie scene. Now, I told you about fictitious characters, and this is Nurse Faith. Nurse Faith is from a website called In Bed with Faith. And actually, I just found a busty girl dressed as a nurse, and I wanted to portray her on the website as ASW's nurse. She never really participated. There's Ferrari. She was the manager of the Highwaymen. Ferrari actually had a bra and panties match with Cookie, which got a lot of views on YouTube for obvious reasons. There's the dancing machine Bobby Fonta. In the highlight of Bobby's Indy career, he was managed by Bill Alfonso, who was really an interesting guy. Came over my house a few times and we shot some shoot videos, which you can also find on 911wrestling.com. I'm going to start moving through these images a little bit faster because I didn't realize how many of these we have. There's Gentleman Joe, and Joe ran a comic book store. Joe's actually a pretty nice guy. There's the Virus taking out Simon Says. And you see Jason D, again, ticket guy, and he also did a lot of the videography. So he got 2 cards. As his career changed in ASW, so did his card. Jimmy Mack's another guy that I made sure got a lot of pictures and a lot of focus on the website because Jimmy Mack is a really good guy. He, essentially, for all intents and purposes, ASW was the only time he got a chance to referee, and he did a great job. He was the perfect indie referee. Little known fact, Josh Masters was the first ASW heavyweight champion, and back then they were only running shows every couple months, so he held the belt pretty much longer than anyone. Chaotic Romeo, real good guy, wound up marrying a very good friend of mine, Rachel. Joey Knight, part of the world's largest all-nighters. D. Lee moved across, I think he lives in Texas now. That's me as a referee, Les Nessman. I volunteered to referee a couple times. I just wanted to be a little bit more part of the action and just have something to talk about on the website. One thing that I really did try to do, though, was I made the website about these wrestlers. You will probably never see my face associated with ASW because I wanted to focus on guys like Nick Major or some of the indie wrestlers associated with the company. I wanted to make sure that I was highlighting them. Nui Lee, he's another guy who's gone on to pose and fitness competition. Paradox, he was a guy that a lot of people would consider a jobber, but I wanted to make sure got a little coverage because he liked it. Rick Roberts, kind of the same thing. Ricky Romeo loved being on the website, maybe didn't win a lot of matches, but loved being a part of it and was just there to have a good time. ASW was also an organization that helped a lot of people get their start in wrestling. Sean LaFlash, which you saw earlier, he was a great ring announcer who kind of got his start there. Sideshow currently wrestles with ACW, and he's been a long-standing ACW guy. Alright, maybe you'll see my face once or twice, but it's pretty well covered up in most photos. This pretty much brings us to the end of our ASW roster cards. I hope you enjoyed them. I hope you liked my narration. Please click like if you enjoyed it. We'll have new videos for you every single week on 911wrestling.com. Goodbye.